What's up, everybody, and welcome back to HOA MMA. AJ, hopefully you had a good new year. We've taken some time off. The UFC is finally back. How are you feeling, man? It's good to see you.
I feel good. I feel re-energized and refreshed. Around this time of year, you don't really go out much, to be fair. Everyone's kind of relaxing, chilling, getting back into the swing of things. Hope everyone who is obviously watching as well had themselves a very happy holidays and a happy new year. Hope more blessings and more obviously success to everyone in 2024. But for me personally, I feel good. I feel refreshed. I feel recharged. But we missed out on quite a lot as well. We
Yes, we
didn't
did.
cover the last UFC pay-per-view of the year. Leon did Leon things against Colby, who's probably had his last title shot.
For sure.
Josh Emmett had what probably a lot buzzer beater for potential KO of the year against Bryce Mitchell. Pantoja looks impressive. Shavkat continues to do Shavkat things. But even though we didn't speak, we haven't obviously recorded anything in a while. I found myself watching quite a lot of combat sports around late December, which is quite weird, like for most people. I watched Inoue against Tapales in the boxing. Again, he's my favorite boxer to watch. KO'd him in the 10th round. Tapales really gave it a go. Inoue was just too much for him. Now a two-time undisputed champion in two weight divisions. Very, very impressive. Second guy to do it in the full weight era. I also watched Kazuto Ayuka defend his super flyweight title against Perez. Pretty much just beat him up. He literally knocked him down like 3 or 4 times before he stopped him in round 7. Ryzen had a show on the 31st of December. For anyone, for the two main fights at the top of the billing really caught my eye. Haraguchi, I think I'm saying his name right. People probably most know him for his time inside the UFC, and when Sergio Pettis hit him with that spinning back fist when Haraguchi was literally just winning the fight. He was up on all scorecards, and pretty much Sergio just put through like a Hail Mary. He won the flyweight title. It was a rematch because they against Matahashi had their fight in June last year. It ended early because there was an accidental eye poke. And Kai Asakura won the bantamweight title. He has a win over Manel Cap in Ryzen, so that kind of shows the caliber of obviously who he is, even though Cap got that one back. And there was the AJ and Wilder card. AJ won his fight, looked very impressive. Wilder looks pretty much a shell of him for myself against Joseph Parker.
Since you bring that up, quick question. We get Francis versus AJ coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Quick thoughts on that?
I'm happy for Francis because he's getting another big payday. A lot of people thought when a year ago when he left the UFC, well, around this time he would have left the UFC. A lot of people thought that he was done. Like he wouldn't, why is he going over towards the PFL? Like he isn't going to get the big. He's going to get those big names. He's going to get like a Fury or Wilder or like an AJ, and now he's got 2.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
I will say this: the AJ that fought Wallin on the 20 in his last fight would give Francis hell, if I'm being honest. But if there's one guy you shouldn't bet against, it's Francis Ngannou. So, it kind of makes sense as well with the undisputed fight at heavyweight between Fury and Usyk coming up, and they're probably going to fight 2 fights. But for AJ, who's kind of the biggest name commercially within heavyweight division.
What's he ranked right now?
So it's weird because there are 4 different governing bodies in the RBF, which is the route he's kind of going towards more the most. I think he's ranked number 3 or number 2.
Is Francis ranked in that?
He's ranked in the WBC. I think he's ranked number 10.
I was gonna say because I didn't know if AJ was ranked in that also. I didn't, I knew Francis was ranked 10 there. I didn't know if AJ where he was ranked in that. but it's okay. I was just wondering about rankings.
It's a weird one in boxing because it's not like in MMA when it's clear you've got literally one governing body or one promotion who have their own like ranking system. Boxing have to abide by so many different sanctioning bodies. You got the WBO, WBC, WBA. Right. It's all a bit of a mess in terms of their rankings, really. But yeah, no, in terms of combat sports, it's been a really good start to the year. Virgil Ortiz had himself a really, really good performance. But we're not here to talk about boxing. We're here to talk about MMA, and
we got a lot of it.
We've got a lot to look forward to this year.
We really do. AJ, first off, I want to say thank you for 2023. We began this podcast together. I badgered you about it, and finally you committed. So I do want to say thank you for joining me on this and making my Thursdays something to look forward to every week. Getting on here and chatting with this on this platform. Thank you to everybody who listens to us. 2024 hopefully is going to be a year of some growth. Again, AJ, thank you, and let's keep this going. You mentioned what we missed. What we missed. Leon retains the welterweight belt. Pantoja beats Royval by unanimous decision. Shavkat beats Wonder Boy. Paddy Pimblett beats up on Tony Ferguson. And then we saw an amazing KO from Josh Emmett. Just a quick question for you from there. Where do you want to – we're thinking we're going to get Leon versus Bilal going forward. Is that the best fight for Leon right now, in your opinion?
It's the fight that makes sense, and it's quite ironic how things turn out, because if you look at Leon's rise, he was on this long winning streak, and it was a case of he wasn't getting his shot. Like he doesn't do anything exciting. Like he isn't a big enough name. He isn't exciting. Like, you know, he doesn't finish guys. Whereas you look at Bilal's on this long winning streak, right. You know, and he's, you know, people are like, oh, he's boring. You know, he comes across as annoying. You know, he doesn't really put people away, even though 2 fights ago he did put Sean Brady out. But a lot of people say like he didn't actually put him out. The ref stopped Brady on his feet, etc., etc. But outside of Shavkat, there's no one else you could really say has more of a deserving title shot. The best fight in the division is Leon against Shavkat. If you're just looking in terms of like just actually in terms of like styles, but and this is coming from me, and you know how I feel about Bilal. It's right. We have to respect the rankings, and we have to respect people. We have to also respect the work that these people put in. We as fans, we always want to have the big exciting fights. We want to have like the big mega fights, the most exciting back and forth fights. But sometimes it doesn't work out that way. And who knows? Right. Bilal and Leon too could be a very interesting fight, because they both faced each other before, even though it's very short. You know, they kind of understand each other a little bit now, and both have improved a lot since then. So I will say it's the fight that makes sense, even though for a lot of people, and probably I'll put myself in there, it's probably not the fight that I want to see, but it's fair. Like, you can't really deny a guy who keeps on winning his shot.
I think that's fair to say. I just wanted to touch on that since we didn't get to talk about it before. AJ, is there anything else you want to catch up on before we get into this weekend's fight night card?
Not about combat sports, but no. Do you know what? I'll leave that to the end.
Okay. Well, AJ, we get the Ankalaev Johnny Walker rematch after the mistake in the desert this weekend at the Apex. You know, looking at this card, man, this is a strong card. Top to bottom, pretty strong card. What on the undercard caught your eye? Because I know there was a couple things you wanted to talk about before we got into the main card.
Quite a few things did. Joshua Van is on this card. Very talented prospect at 125 pounds, 9-1, I believe. He has a nickname of Fearless, and it's quite it's quite appropriate because he will go out there and he'll throw down with anyone. Even though he has a tendency to be patient, which for someone around the age of 22 is a good trait to have. He's very patient, but then once he kind of gets your read and he kind of gets a feel for you, he will literally go to war with you. Very, very, he's definitely someone to go and look out for at flyweight. There's also a guy making his debut, I believe, 6-0, Tom Nolan. He's at 155 pounds,
Yep.
6'2" at 155 pounds. That's going to be quite interesting to see. That could be another Jalen Turner on our hands. But
Yeah.
the fight I'm really looking forward to, especially outside the co-main and the main event, is actually on the prelims, which is Javed Basharat against Napolis. Basharat is undefeated and he's looked all well so far. And Napolis is coming off a good win in Paris. He faced against the Don from Ireland. I can't remember his full name. I think it's Lachlan or something like that. But he took away Lachlan's undefeated record, and he put in an amazing performance. I remember because the crowd were going crazy, and Lapalus is this very slick technical striker, and Basharat is this aggressive grappler who can do it all as well. That's a very fun stylistic matchup, which is one that I'm definitely going to be looking forward to. But is there anything for you on this prelims that kind of catches your eye as well?
Waldo Cortez Acosta is a big guy at the heavyweight division, 6'4", pushing the weight limit. He's 10-1, fighting a legend in Andrei Arlovsky. That's the prelims main event. I'm definitely interested in watching.
Speed.
That's
speed.
One of the things I'm really looking forward to is seeing how he handles a legend like Andrei Arlovsky. And then a guy who I always like fighting, Matthew Smelsberger. I just enjoy watching the guy fight. Nothing in particular about him. Just he always goes out there and he fights his ass off, and I appreciate that. So looking forward to those two fights on the prelims. AJ, let's get into the main card. They're kicking it off with Phil Hawes versus Bruno Ferreira. Phil Hawes 12-5, Bruno Ferreira 10-1. How do you see this one going down?
Well, Phil Hawes has had it rough recently. Last two fights, he has been stopped badly. Last fight against Aliskerov, which, to be fair, is nothing to be ashamed of because we know how good that guy is everywhere. But and Bruno Ferreira is coming off a knockout loss himself, even though around this time last year in Brazil when he knocked out Robocop with a mean hook, he looked very impressive. If this fight stays on the feet, Bruno Ferreira is capable of knocking Philip Hawes out again cold. But if Hawes is able to use his wrestling and to kind of just keep away from those shots and keep it on the ground, there is a route for him to navigate to win. But losing is a bad habit, and losing in the way of getting knocked out cold in back-to-back fights is an even bigger habit to kind of get out of. And with someone who hits that hard and and he's very aggressive as well, and that's kind of what Phil Hawes kind of falls against when you see people kind of push the pace against him and really come after him. Phil Hawes kind of really falls away. But then if Phil's able to obviously keep on top and ready to keep people at bay and move forward himself, that's when he does really well. I just have a bad feeling that this is probably going to be knockout loss number 3 in a row. So I'm going to say Bruno Ferreira probably by round 2.
Okay. I just don't see Phil winning this fight. Like you said, the pressure seems to get to him, and he seems to kind of shell up a little bit. Give me Bruno Ferreira also to win this fight. Next on here, Ricky Simone versus Mario Batista. This is another good one. Bantamweight contenders fight. How do you see this one going down?
Well, Batista's probably coming off what could be classed as robbery of the year when he got gifted that win against Blackshear, because I still don't know how those refs gave him that. Ricky, the last time we saw Ricky Simone coming off a pretty much just like a beat down against Song Yudong, which is nothing to be ashamed of, because we all know how good he is, and especially someone from me who I'm very high on him as a whole. But Batista is good.
Yeah.
I just feel Ricky Simone is better everywhere else, like all round. And he's beaten a lot better competition, and he's comfortable with the fight going anywhere. Like if it does stay on the feet, Ricky Simone has power and he can hurt Batista. And especially if it goes to the ground, Ricky Simone has really really mean chokes, and that's going to be the route that he's probably going to look to win probably the most. If we're judging off both of them kind of like fight styles, I've got Ricky Simone to bounce back and get a submission in round 1.
Okay. I also am picking Ricky Simone to win this one. I'm not going to go. I'm going to go by decision. I think he grinds it out and gets a win over Batista by decision. Batista's also not bad in the submission game, so that could be interesting back and forth there. But yeah, give me Ricky Simone to get a decision win over here. Next on the card is Jim fucking Miller versus Gabriel Benitez. I know Jim Miller wants to go by that for UFC 300, so we'll go by that for here. How do you see this fight going out? I mean, are we gonna bet against Jim Miller until he loses? I mean, what are we gonna do here?
I'm gonna be so real. I don't care about the result. I just want Jim Miller just to come out the fight with no injuries, just literally no injuries, and don't get knocked out towards a point where you're gonna be out for a very very long time. Just make it to 300. Just make it to 300. That is literally the only thing I care about in this fight. Jim Miller is on a really good run. He's on a really good run, and he's actually putting people away, which is very impressive. Give me Jim Miller to win. I'm just hoping it's a very quick first round stoppage, in and out, quick, no basic damage done, and he rolls onto 300, and then he can bow out.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Jim Miller, obviously, I'm picking Jim Miller to win. Yeah, I'm give me the win. Keep that momentum going into the UFC 300. I like this fight for him. Jim Miller seems to be getting younger, so I'm supporting. Yeah, I see that. Next fight, Nicolau versus Manal Cape. I think we're both going with the same person here, but tell me how Manal Cape gets it done.
It's an interesting one because this is actually a rematch. I think it was either Cap's first or second fight within the UFC. I actually thought Manel won that fight. It got given to Nicolau, and I know Cap was quite pissed about that. It's going to be interesting because both guys have gotten a lot better since then. You would say on the feet, even though Nicolau's really good there, like he's a really good counter puncher, Manel Cap is a all-world kickboxer. Like he's probably one of the best strikers at 125 pounds. He's also coming into really, really good form right now as well. But if you're kind of basing it on their tactics in their last fight, Manel Cap needs to be careful of when he does explode in those very dynamic and flashy moves because Nicolau read that and he managed to level change a lot on him. A lot on him. So, and we've seen in Manel Cap's last 3 performances, he's a bit more measured and calculated. If he's able to be like that, he can give Nicolau problems. And Nicolau's also coming off a knockout loss when obviously Royval hit him with one of the most meanest switch knees that I've ever seen and put him away.
Yep.
And Manel Cap is a better striker than Royval. So it's going to be a fun one. But I am going to say Manel Cap wins, and he's probably going to call for Kayakara France because that's the fight that needs to happen. Yep. That fight has to happen at some point, considering all of the black blood between them. But yeah, give me Cup. I'm gonna go for Cup on points though. I just feel like this time he makes it decisive and really puts a emphatic performance.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Manel Cap also, but give me a Manel Cap by TKO in round 2.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going for it. Then we get to the main event, AJ. Obviously, Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker 2. How do you see this one going down, man? It looks to me like it's going to go the same way it was going the first time until the illegal maneuvers. Give me Ankalaev to win by. Give me him to win by decision. I don't even know if it gets that far.
Yeah, it was a shame because Johnny Walker had a really good game plan. He was chopping up the leg. Like, he was really going for Ankalaev's legs. I think after seeing what Jan did to him, really opened up the eyes in terms of how to kind of approach Ankalaev. Walker was really going at the legs, and then he was doing well until when Ankalaev hit him with the body shot, regardless if that hurt him or not. When he kind of like looked like he was in pain, or he was playing possum when he tried to do the flying knee, and that's when Ankalaev managed to get him down. It's very clear that if this fight goes on the ground, Ankalaev will literally maul him and he will win very, very clearly. But if it stays on the feet, Walker can make it interesting as long as he's smart. Like, he can't do any of those flashy moves at the wrong time. Like, those ones have to be set up perfectly against someone like Ankalaev, he has such amazing fight IQ and he's good everywhere. Like, he's one of the most well-rounded fighters that inside the entire UFC. Especially, he's easily the most well-rounded at 205 pounds. But Walker's power and size, there is a route there for him to win. I just feel like, considering all the battle Ankalaev has had, and he's probably fed up by now, he's probably going to go out there and really want to make a statement. I have a feeling that Ankalaev is going to get it done by round 3. Give me Ankalaev by sub. Round 3.
I like that. Either way, I got Ankalaev winning. I don't think Johnny Walker's good enough to beat him straight up. He's going to have to knock him out, and we haven't seen that happen to Ankalaev. So, yeah, give me Ankalaev all day. He's just better. So that's the fight night for this weekend, AJ. In honor of the new year, we're gonna do our year awards, AJ. So let's get started off at the top. The HOA MMA Awards for 2023. What was your fight of the year?
I went back and forth on this one. I really did. I went back and forth a lot on this one. This was probably my hardest one to pick. I went for Makhachev against Volkanovski 1 as my fight of the year. The reason I picked it is because that was the definition of a super fight. You had 2 champions, one guy coming up, daring to be great. The 2 clearly best pound for pound guys in the sport against each other, which is very rare to happen. And it was a fight on the highest level on all facets of literally MMA. Grappling, wrestling, striking, like the way them 2 went back and forth in that fight across basically 5 rounds was that was probably the most high level technical fight that I've probably seen.
Yeah.
And it was close. It was close. Even though I felt like Makhachev won very, very clearly, Volkanovski was right there. And for that reason alone, I had to give it, for me, fight of the year. Well, for my fight.
Okay. My fight of the year, I'm going Dan Hooker versus Jalen Turner at UFC 290. I thought that fight gave us a little bit of everything that you could ever want in a fight. We saw 2 guys at the highest level competing to win an incredible back and forth fight. Dan Hooker getting rocked, coming back at the end of round 2, and getting the takedown and holding Jalen down, and then in round 3, Dan doing just enough to get the decision over Jalen Turner. I thought that was one of the most exciting and most bloody and just high level back and forth battles that you're ever going to see. So give me Dan Hooker versus Jalen Turner as my fight of the year.
That's a good pick. I just want to say also honorable mention to Moreno against Pantoja, crazy fight, back and forth, just violence. Also Aldana against Rosa on the prelims of the last pay-per-view last month. Like both of them just went at it, man. Just crazy good. But I still don't know how Dan ate that head kick because Turner hit him clean and he managed to just shake it off and just keep on going. But
that's a good. Our next is the KO of the year. What is your KO of the year? And I feel like I know it's one of two. So let's see which one you pick.
It's only one answer. Yeah, for me, this is the easiest one for me. And I know it's probably going to be our typical, is very obvious that I'm going to say this, but Izzy against Alex Pereira is
I thought you were going to change your mind. You didn't want to move on to Tom.
Calm.
Okay. I'll make sure to tag Tom in this.
Calm. Like I can't. You're telling me that after all of the history between them two, and the way Pereira was literally putting it on Izzy, he had him backed up against the fence like I was in the last fight, and he was just unloading. And Izzy decides, okay, it's either I go or he goes, and he said, I'm just gonna go, and he saw his chance. And the fact is, over the last 7 years of their fights, he's always been homing in on his right hand. His right hand has always managed to catch Alex, but he's never been able to put him away. And the fact is, on that time he did, and that is probably, as of now, Izzy's most defining moment in his entire career, to come back like that and to finally put him out. And it was one of the best counter strikes that I've ever seen, especially with like the magnitude around it.
Yeah.
That's why for me it's my knockout of the year.
I think that's a good answer. I thought you might have moved on to Tom, so it was one of those two. So I'm gonna pick Justin's head kick on Dustin for knockout of the year. I thought for Justin to come back and be on the run he's been on, and that, being for the BMF title, I just thought that was such an important moment for his career, and that puts him in line for that title, one more title shot against Islam. So give me Justin Gaethje's head kick on Dustin Poirier. Incredible, really incredible kick.
I mean, I like it. Like, it was crazy, like, because we never seen Justin throw head kicks,
right?
Really. And then he had that in his locker, sprung it, and it even Dustin even blocked it, but it managed to wrap around enough that it made him like lean out and put him away. That was one of my honorable mentions. Tom against Pavlovich was obviously one of my honorable mentions as well. The other two I had was Josh Emmett against Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah, the one punch
had him literally like convulsing, like this. And the other one I have, which is probably like a sleeper pick, was Bruno Ferreira against Michael Johnson when he sent him flying and literally iced him out. Yep. Just iced him out. So those are ones that I was just wanted to bring up and just give props to as well.
Yeah, no, those are two, just a lot of great knockouts this year. A lot of great knockouts. Submission of the year. What do you got?
Oh, this was a slam dunk one. David Grant against Rafael Assunção with the inverted triangle choke.
Yep. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
I'm going with this one because of how meaningful it was. I'm going to stick with what I said in our half-year awards. Alexa Grasso tapping out the bullet is still one of the most important submissions, and I'm going to go with that as my submission of the year. Didn't love the split decision, however you want to call it, for their second fight. But that first fight, I thought that was extremely important, and I'm going to stick with that as my submission of the year. Next one we've got performance of the year. What do we got for performance of the year, AJ?
it pains me to say this, but it's Strickland against Izzy, and I don't feel like you can even argue to say anyone else. Like you can't. You know,
It's just
he pitched out a perfect game against one of the best kickboxers that we've ever seen, and probably maybe the best kickboxer we've ever seen, and he beat him at his own game over 5 rounds. He literally just put it like a shutout. You know,
yeah.
upset the year, but easy performance of the year for me. Like I don't feel like anyone can say anything else other than that, because no one saw it coming, and it was against who it was and the manner like in which he did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's Strickland versus Izzy. It's got to be. I have the same answer. If I had to come up with another answer, I would say Pantoja versus Moreno. I thought that was incredible, but that's just like a reach because we had the same answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Strickland beating Izzy. That was the perfect fight, and that's something you may never see again. Like that was Chael Sonnen against Anderson Silva, but actually winning. Like so, yeah. But yeah, so that's the level it was.
Yeah, I will say for other performances I wanted to mention as well. I'll say Jamal Ho against Glover, because he fought amazing that fight. He basically retired Glover, and I think that's a fight because it happened so early last year. I feel he kind of got swept away. Another really good performance for me, I would say, which was, I guess, it was a surprise performance as well. I'll say Dricus against Rob.
That's a good one. He
literally just ran through him, and Topuria against Josh Emmett as well, because he put on an absolute masterclass that night. I think people forget because of the knockout Emmett did recently, but in his last fight, Topuria left him like a butchered mess.
Right.
So I just wanted to shout out.
Yeah, those are good ones. Those are good for sure.
And Weili Shang against Lemos, because definition of dominance. Just one-sided in every way possible.
Okay, AJ, let's see. Breakout star prospect of the year. Let me go first. I'm going to pick a guy who's 28 years old, Diego Lopez. He took Movsvar to the limit in his debut on short notice, and then he had one of the most incredible submissions on Gavin Tucker. Give me Diego Lopez as my 2023 breakout star.
Fuck, you took mine. We got the same one. The Diego Lopez, for every reasons you just said. If I had to pick someone else, I would pick Lupita Godinez for 4-0 this year, and capped off winning against Tabavarici, who in her own right is a good up and coming contender at store rate as well. So I'll pick Lupita Godinez. Honorable mention to one of my favorite fighters to watch, Tatsuro Taira, who was 3-0 this year, 23 years of age, 15-0 overall, and is now broken into the top 15. So I just wanted to give them two a big shout out as well. I'm surprised that none of us picked Bo Nickel. Or would you? Oh, is it just more of he only fought twice this year? Needs to face against.
He didn't fight anybody. I mean, he did not. He had the nice knockout against the guy he shut up, 3 days before. But, yeah. I mean, I think everybody has him on their prospect list, so I wanted to go a different direction.
That's fair.
Okay, so moving on. AJ, I want your 2024 predictions. Now, I know you have some future champions lined up for us. I've got one big overarching prediction for 2024. Go ahead and give us your 2024 predictions.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the women first. So at 115, I don't see much changing. I see Zhang still being champion at the end of the year. So I've got not much change with that. But at flyweight, I do have a new champion. And her name is Erin Blanchfield. I feel like Blanchfield will be champion by this time next year. And that kind of ties into women's bantamweight, because I feel like one of the former flyweight champions, will be champion at bantamweight. I've got Valentina Shevchenko going back up to 135 pounds and winning the bantamweight belt. Now, if we go onto the flyweights, Pantoja is looking like a marauder who is literally just bullying people right now. This is probably the one where everything has to go perfect. Like, everything has to go perfect. But I've got Mo Mokiev becoming champion very late this year. Very, very late this year. I have seen winning the belt at the very end of the year. And at bantamweight, this one here is a hard one for me, because I wanted to say that Sandhagen finally gets his chance and wins the belt, but I just don't feel, with the way that the UFC have plans for 135 pounds, the opportunity won't come, even though I feel like he will have a really good year. I have a feeling that O'Malley's probably going to stay as champion this year. I feel he probably only has 2 fights this year, so probably Cheeto and then probably Cejudo or Merab. Even though Merab is hell for him, and so would Henry be on paper, I just have a feeling that he only fights twice this year. Whereas I feel like for Corey, he's probably going to get his chance in 2025. Hopefully. Featherweight. You are not going to like this. You're not going to like this one. I've got Max Holloway becoming champ again at 145 pounds.
All right, it's time to grow up, but okay.
But that is only but this only hinges on where his next fight is, because he could be fighting at 155 pound next at a certain big pay-per-view against a certain guy who you're a big fan of, if a lot of things are to be true. 155 pounds is going to be it's going to be Makachev. I don't see anyone really beating him right now, even though Arman Sarukian is coming. He's on his way. I also feel like Charles isn't really done yet either, but I feel Makachev is just literally pound for pound #1 for a reason, and he's only going to get better. Welterweight. For me, it's a matter of not if, it's a matter of when Shavkat gets the belt.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. If Shavkat doesn't get his shot this year, Leon will still be champion, but Shavkat is eventually going to get the belt. Even though I feel like Leon is capable of obviously beating Shavkat, he's just too hard to deny at this point, Middleweight, I've got my guy coming back end of the year and winning the belt back. I've got Izzy becoming a 3-time middleweight champion. Light heavyweight, I've got Ankalaev.
Yeah, I mean, if he can get to the fight, then yeah. I mean, I think he'd be the champion too. That's a good one.
Yeah, I just don't feel anyone beats him. And at heavyweight, I don't know how it happens, but Aspinall will be the undisputed heavyweight champion by the end of the year.
Okay, I like it. I don't know how that's going to happen, because John Jones is just making up a million different excuses to not fight Tom, which is dumb as hell, but that's where we're stuck. AJ, like I said, I came with one big prediction. My prediction is Justin Gaethje knocks out Islam Makhachev to become the champion at 155. I'm calling it now. When they fight, Justin Gaethje wins, knockout. He's taken down Dagestan.
He couldn't beat Khabib.
No, he couldn't.
Are you telling me he's gonna?
No, He did not have the skills. He's on a run. He's as hot as he's ever been. This is his best chance. This is his best shot. 155, Justin Gaethje will be the champion this year.
Doug,
Yep.
Gaethje came off a career best performance against Tony Ferguson, and then he got washed by Khabib. Even though
Tony Ferguson's lost 14 fights in a row.
Gaethje was the reason why that started in the fucking first place.
Hey.
I'm just saying. But
this is as hot as Justin's ever been.
I mean, we have seen Islam being knocked out before once, so we know he can be knocked down. But
all it takes is one time. All it takes is one.
Man. What are the 3 fights you hope to see this year?
So fights I want to see this year, I would like to see Duplessis versus Israel. I would like to see that one. I would like to see Justin versus Islam. I would like to see O'Malley versus Merab to see if O'Malley can keep up Merab's pace. The fight we're getting at UFC 300, we're getting what's her name?
Zhang against
Zhang versus we're getting that fight at 300. That's really exciting.
That's a great fight.
And then I'd like to see John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. The way John Jones has gone about this has been extremely disappointing. Like, we got to move on from Stipe. This is dumb. Tom Aspinall is going to mean more long-term for your resume than Stipe, in my opinion. Tom's got that potential.
I agree. And it's quite funny how when we see how John got his chance against, like, if you kind of look back on John Jones's career, when he first won the belt at 23, he won against Shogun, who was a legend of the sport. Legend. John is more than legend. John is the greatest of all time. Surely he should understand why Tom wants to fight him so much. And if you go out there and you beat, in my personal opinion, the best heavyweight of this current crop, of this current generation right now, who's probably going to go on and be one of, if not the best heavyweight ever. Like that's how high Tom's potential is. And if you go out there and beat him in your last fight and you've ride off into the sunset saying, look, this guy's next, but even now he still can't beat me, that's huge for your legacy. That's huge for your legacy. I do understand you want to have the name of Miocic, but you were not finding the same guy who beat Alistair, who beat up Verdum, who beat up Dos Santos, who beat DC in the second and third fights. That guy's gone. That guy is gone. It is a very old 41-year-old who hasn't fought in. It'll be come up to 3 years now. The last time he did fought, he basically got sparked cold.
Yeah, it was
knocked out cold. So I agree with you. I do hope we get to see John against Aspinall.
Yep.
It's a dream fight for me, but I do hope we get, which I know it won't happen just because of how things are going to work. But I hope Sandhagen does fight Sean, because that will just be such a very fun fight to see. I would also like to see Hamza against Rob.
That would be interesting. I would like to see that.
I like that.
That would be cool. I'm into that. I would like to see Paulo Costa fight. See, the problem, like, we didn't get to see him actually fight off. What was it? What was the infection in his arm?
I forgot.
It doesn't matter. I'd like to see Paulo Costa just fight. Whatever. Right. Just anywhere. Stop coming on Ariel's show and saying you haven't signed to fights and shit. Maybe just sign a contract and fight. That'd be sick. You're kind of annoying. You were cooler when you were drunk. It's gotten old. At least when you were drunk, you showed up to your fights. That guy annoys me. AJ, before we get out of here, what do you have What do you have left that we need to discuss? Anything coming up in your life? Anything coming up in combat? What do we got before we get out of here?
Well, besides that, the best film ever is a month and a half away. Yes, 2024 Dune talks will still be here. I'm also bringing back AJ's Film Corner.
Here we go.
Just kind of just a few things I've watched over the Christmas New Year period. A film that really surprised me was Sonatine, Japanese Yakuza movie by Takeshi Kitano. People may remember him the most for being in Battle Royale. He was the teacher in that.
Yes.
He's also Takeshi from Takeshi's Castle.
Okay.
So, but I didn't know that he was also this famous director as well. He was like really renowned back in Japan. I watched Sonatine for the first time. It is phenomenal. Like, it is really, really good. It's something that I recommend for everyone. Like, it isn't just your typical Yakuza movie. There is a lot more like depth to it, and it really makes you think, and it's beautifully shot.
Okay.
Amazing piece of work. I'm definitely going to look out more for more of his work.
Okay.
And I also watched The Gangster, the Cop, and the Devil, which is a Korean movie. You got this Yakuza member. He gets attacked by this serial killer. Teams up with this cop in order to find him. Really good. Really good stuff. But yeah, those are the two films recently that I would recommend for people to check out.
Nice. Okay, cool.
And you're finally on Letterboxd. I haven't forgotten that. You're finally jumped on it, man. Proud of you.
So, AJ, I'm finally, on Letterboxd. I'm going to start slowly adding to it. I'm also going to start my own film podcast. I've been thinking about it for a long time, so I'm going to finally dip my toes into that. Still got the working title, Movies and TV by Doug, but we'll see where that goes from here. There's Lila. But yeah, so AJ, working on some new things, got some new things coming along. It's going to be a big year for 2024.